Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Look who's here, everybody. One of my favorites. It's New York's very own Charles Soule. Good to see you,
Hey
Charles.
everybody, what's going on?
How you doing, man?
About the same as everybody is, I guess. I'm stuck at home. At least I got the booze up there, so I'm okay. But it's kind of weird times, isn't it?
Yeah, I hear you, man. We were talking before we got started and everything. It's I'm glad we saw each other last summer at Rose City. Had a
Yeah.
great Friday night hangout. Did I tell you post Friday? Because actually, I was in a kind of panic on Saturday because I lost my wallet.
Yes, I remember
Which
that. Yeah.
but I don't know if I told you. So and it's public, and I can say this now. So I was staying with Bendis,
Yeah.
and he told me in advance. He's like, "Hey, some of the DC brass is coming to talk story," and he goes, "Can you just be lost? Not hang out until like
Get
after
lost.
midnight." Yeah, and I'm like, "No problem." And I figured I'd have dinner with somebody. So you and Matt Rosenberg and your brother, we all got together. We had excellent food. Hung out at a bar. And it was like midnight, so I get back, and Bendis has a really long driveway to his house, and he's like, after midnight, he goes, they should be out by then. Well, they were still there.
Of course.
So, and I had that I had that brace on my leg because I was healing from my infection.
Yep, I remember.
So I was limping to where they were outside, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I know I'm late. What I miss? And did Dio and oh god damn it,
Bob Harris.
Bob Harris, thank you. Yeah, they're both like, what's he doing here? And he's like, don't worry, he's going upstairs, he's hanging out this week, everything's fine.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was pretty
fantastic. Funny. Oh my god, and those wouldn't be the people who would be doing that meeting now. Like it's like things are the world's a different world, no doubt about it.
I hear you, man. Hey, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I understand because it is a different world. Right off the bat, we should talk some Star Wars and note that your the big story was is going to be delayed, and you had a novel that was part of the big story.
Yeah. So we're talking about the High Republic, obviously, which is the new Star Wars thing that is going to be kicking off. It was originally going to kick off in August of this year, and we pushed it. Not we, I didn't do it. It wasn't my decision, but it was pushed by Lucasfilm to begin in January of 2021. And there's tons of reasons for it. Basically, the world is the world, and it just, like many other things, the way that the world is now just sort of pushed it back a little bit. But me and the other four primary architects, Kevin Scott, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, and Claudia Gray, are continuing to work really hard on it. It's a huge thing. So there's tons of stories that'll be happening, and the fact that it's starting 5 months later isn't really, it's a bummer because I know we all were looking forward to having it start in August, but it'll be just as good in January. And my novel Light of the Jedi kicks the whole thing off, which is a really exciting thing. You can pre-order it on Amazon now if you want. It's it's a whole new era of Star Wars. It's at 200 years before anything we've seen before. And so we're able to do all this kind of new, very exciting storytelling with it. And being the launch project for it is a real responsibility and a real a privilege, I guess. So it's really cool. I'm psyched.
Well, you can see people are already responding, and obviously they heard the news. Both Steven Simpson and Chaos and Comics. So I appreciate the comments, guys. And Charles is here for your Star Wars questions because not only the novel, but obviously we'll get into the comics in a second.
Yep.
But are you able to tell us at least the dust jacket description of your novel?
I'm actually not. I have the amount of NDAs I'm under with respect to High Republic. Like I did an interview last week or the week before where I talked about it sort of like in more than what I just gave you, and it was a little bit of a thing. So I basically what I can say is that it is the launch project. Light of the Jedi is the first storytelling you're going to see from the High Republic. It's set, as I said, 200 years before Phantom Menace, give or take, or hundreds of years, whatever. And it's a the galaxy feels very different. It's an optimistic time. There's tons of Jedi running around doing awesome things. It's not the Star Wars you've seen before, but it feels very, very Star Wars. So that's about as much as I'm comfortable saying without getting in trouble. Okay. But it's it's just, as I said, we have a chance to do all this incredible new kind of storytelling because we're not tied to the same things that all of the storytelling in Star Wars we've seen already has been. Not that any of that was terrible; it's all amazing, but it's just fun. The possibilities are very fun.
I'm excited for you, and that's terrific, and it reminds me of the Dark Horse years, the Tales of the Jedi years, and I not only the comics and stuff, but I even love the audio dramas that they did back in the day. So hey, look at this, and then I agree with Geroid there. Excited to see the Spirit of the Old Republic material coming back into form. I agree. I completely agree.
I would say it is, again, it's all new stuff. It's all new stories, all new characters. And so it's the spirit of that more than any literal callbacks, but it's still really, it's just exciting, getting to like Star Wars is something I've loved since I was tiny, and everybody.
Sure, man.
And so getting to kick off a new era of storytelling within it is just a blast. And I was working on it today, so it's all really good. So yes, I see this Chaos and Comics. Yeah, we just want everyone to experience the stories in the context of the stories themselves, and not be spoiled ahead of time. Understood,
buddy. No, absolutely, and I'm glad to hear it. And Star Wars and Star Trek for me, it was Star Trek first. I mean, I was 13 or 12 because it was 70. Yeah, I was 13. It was 78, obviously, or 77. I was 12. It was 77. I have to do
Star Wars was 77. Yeah.
Yeah, 77. That's right. Oh, here, Stephen has a question. Will the delay change any of your comic plans for the rest of the year, being able to drop more hints with the delayed kickoff?
Oh, that's a fun question. So one of the things I and the other 4 writers have been doing from time to time is dropping in little hints to elements from the High Republic in some of our storytelling. So I know that like Kevin Scott in his Count Dooku Jedi Lost audio drama that he did recently. So they're still doing some Star Wars audio.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to check that out. That's fantastic. Yeah.
It's fully produced, sound effects, the whole thing. It's not just an audio book.
That's what I love about Tales of the Jedi and Dark Lords of the Sith and all. They're fully produced. That's amazing.
It's a great story too. So there are little Easter eggs in there to the High Republic. There are Easter eggs in the Rise of Kylo Ren book that I just recently completed. There's
yes, indeed.
A number of Easter eggs in the ongoing Star Wars flagship series from Marvel that I'm doing, and we're all doing it because we have other stories that we're telling that are dropping before the High Republic stuff does. So, we love doing it. We love seeding things that make us look smart later down the road when you guys read the material. So I am sure that we will continue.
Exciting, man. No, that's terrific. We should get into the comics. We're gonna. I should mention that Ryan Browne's going to be joining us in about 20 minutes or so, and then Ryan and Charles will talk about curse words and the omnibus, the Kickstarter campaign that they've got going on. But we're and then it's kind of like tag teams. So you get me and Charles, then the three of us, including Ryan. I'll let Charles go at at the top of the hour, and Ryan and I'll close out with another 30 or so.
Love it.
So yeah, I like that. I think that'll be fun. Yeah. So yeah, tell me about both the flagship. Let's start with the flagship and everything. Sure. So yeah. So now you're 4 issues in. What's going on, right?
4 issues in. It started with a new #1 set right after, like literally right after the end of Empire Strikes Back. The opening moment of the comic is Luke getting his hand cut off on Cloud City, and so we have 4 issues out so far. Jesus Saiz is drawing them. He's unbelievable. He and I worked on Swamp Thing together back in the day, and we've always been looking for a project to jump back together on, and he's amazing. So the story that we've been telling so far has really been about, Luke dealing with the trauma. Well, all of the characters, all the cast dealing with the trauma of, Luke getting his hand cut off and finding out that Darth Vader is presumably his father. The Leia losing Han being frozen. I mean, I'm sure that's traumatic for him in some way. And then Lando, like people don't think about Lando as having gone through.
I was going to ask.
He lost his whole thing. He lost Cloud City. He lost the whole deal. And he's now sort of ensconced with the rebels who don't trust him because he's not a rebel. He's just some sort of sleazy dude.
And he betrayed them in Empire.
Yeah,
so,
sold him to Darth Vader. So he's not comfortable. Chewbacca lost his best friend. C-3PO got all blown up. The only one who kind of came through that okay, sort of, was R2-D2 because he always came through. But so everybody went through their own traumas, and we've been dealing with them kind of one by one. we have gone back to Cloud City, which was really fun. They went back to like it was Leia, Luke, and Lando. Each went back, and Lando went back to rescue Lobot, which was very exciting because he like left his buddy behind. He wanted to bring him out. Leia went to learn more about the carbon freezing procedure, so that when eventually she will go to find Han, she'll know how to get him out of it. And then Luke obviously went back to find his lightsaber and his X-wing. And so that all happened. It was very exciting. They all sort of found their answers in different ways, and it was just fun to be able to set scenes and like Cloud City, man. That's an iconic place. That's a place I've been seeing that in my mind for decades, whatever. And so 40 years, I guess. And so to get to write scenes in these places was amazing. And then the hiatus started. Luke has this vision at the end of issue 4 of this woman. This looks like a female Jedi, and she's holding out a lightsaber hilt to him and says, follow your destiny, Luke, something like that. I forgot what I wrote, something like that. And so the idea is that, it's this huge cliffhanger. Who is this woman? Who is he going to go meet? And then coronavirus, just like so many other things that were delayed. So I'm sure you've talked about it with other people on the show, but the comics business has been, comic book for Jimmy, has been sort of shuttered until like last week. And so all of the plans for those issues to come out were just shelved as Diamond went on hiatus. A lot of stores had to be closed. Marvel and DC and whatever, like just different book, the production schedules just got all changed. And we can talk like that even happened in my Image book, Undiscovered Country, that I do with Scott Snyder and Giuseppe Camicoli. But
we'll talk about that. Absolutely.
We will. But so it's been interesting sort of navigating a world, like, there's so many things that are interesting about this world, but having a story that you expect it to be told, just kind of, on pause for a while is weird. Obviously it gives us more time to get ahead on scripts and all that, which is great. But, just everybody's been left hanging. I've been getting a lot of questions about when is it out. I mean, it was originally supposed to be out, I guess, in March, probably something like that, March or April, and it's going to come out in August, which has been solicited and announced. But that's a pretty hefty delay.
Yeah, it's a long jump, man. Absolutely.
So, it is. It's great. It's a pretty self-contained story. 5 and 6 make a two-parter. So it'll all land, but like the other big one, I had another Star Wars comic that was ongoing. Well, not ongoing, but like its release was ongoing, called The Rise of Kylo Ren.
Right.
And had massive momentum behind it, multiple printings. The 4th printing of the first issue, which is kind of crazy for a first issue of a Star Wars comic to go through 4 printings, was due to land just when, like in the first or second week, I think, when Diamond stopped shipping. And so that has just been sitting there.
Wow.
And, I know people wanted it. It had a beautiful cover. It was very cool. And then the trade was delayed. Trade was supposed to be out this month, and I don't actually know when it's out. So,
something, I think the end of July, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, because I pre-ordered it. And yeah, man. So that's at least what Amazon said as of this weekend.
It's I mean, comics release schedules are kind of crazy as is. Like, it's hard to track it.
Sure.
Like, even as a creator, as a fan, like, it's hard to know when books are coming out as it is. And with all this, it's just going to take a little while for things to settle.
Absolutely. I want to now. Mark is asking a question about your Poe Dameron run and wants to know how you found Poe's voice in the Dameron series without a lot of source material to draw from when you were writing it. And he says it was a great series. It was a great series.
Thank you very much, Mark. So what happened with the Poe series, it was interesting because I did that book with Phil Noto, the amazing Phil Noto.
Absolutely.
And he and I flew out to Lucasfilm in the Presidio in San Francisco, where we met with Story Group and a bunch of other folks. And this was the summer before Force Awakens came out, because we had to, because of the production schedule of comics is so long, and this book was supposed to hit basically the month of Force Awakens being in theaters, we had to know at least a little bit about the Episode 7 stuff. And so we flew out. It was like this pilgrimage. It was amazing. We flew out. We met Story Group. They couldn't show us the movie, but they walked us through like this slideshow of the significant events that were going to happen in it. So we were the first people. I mean, other people had seen it, but like we actually got to see Episode 7, the most exciting Star Wars thing in a long, long time. We got a sneak peek at it. And as part of that day, we sat in the room with Story Group. We didn't get to read the script, but I was like, okay, tell me about this character. does he make jokes? Is he charming? Is he steely? Like, what is he like?
Sure.
And so they gave me some bullet points, and then I just had to go write dialogue for him. And that issue went to print before I saw the movie. So I had to write a whole issue of Poe Dameron without having heard Oscar Isaac do the role. It all worked out. I was able to sort of adjust. I mean, I think it actually worked pretty well, but I was able to adjust down the road to, once I'd seen his performance. But yeah, I mean, I was just kind of dumb luck that it worked out because I hadn't seen him do anything.
I remember you telling me about that pilgrimage on an earlier Word Balloon episode. Now, Comic Quirks has a good point here. My first Star Wars book was Kanan, The Last Padawan, and then I went to Charles, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. I had no idea what I was missing. Very nice.
Well, thank you. I hope you continue enjoying the Star Wars stories. I have a lot of Star Wars stories to come. It's my favorite fictional universe. No offense, Marvel, DC, whatever, but Star Wars has always been the number one for me.
And talk about Kylo Ren, because the 4th issue did come out.
Yep.
And and only 4 issues, correct?
Yep. It was always designed as a 4-issue miniseries. It told the story of Ben Solo becoming Kylo Ren. So it was from Ben to Ren, the fall of Ben Solo, and it was great because that was a job that I took with a little, trepidation. I guess it's a huge story about a character that a lot of people really, really are invested in and care about. And I did it with my good friend Will Sliney, who is an amazing Irish artist.
Absolutely. I like Will a lot. Good dude.
Yep, he's a great guy. And so we both went into it thinking like, man, if we can get this right and we do a take that is true to the character and people enjoy, it'll be really good for us and obviously good for the book and everything like that. And it really worked out that way. As I mentioned, the first issue went to 4 printings, and then all the subsequent issues went to, also multiple printings too. So it really, really, Comic Quirks really, he really enjoyed it. Kylo
that thing rad apparently says Comic Quirks. That's a good pull quote.
Yeah, that's a good one. So it's one of those things where it was really a mix between I really wanted to give the fans what they wanted with that character, but I also I'm never just going to do that. I wanted to tell a story that was like a good story in and of itself, that wasn't just a bunch of fan service beats. And so it was a really fun one. There was a lot of scrutiny on it, all the way up to the J.J. Abrams level, because issue 1 was coming out. It came out the day before Rise of Skywalker hit.
Yes.
I did not know, I guess it's a spoiler now, but it's on Disney Plus. It's not that much of a spoiler. So I did not know that Ben Solo died when I wrote it. I did not know, I didn't know a lot. I knew a lot, but there was also tons of stuff I didn't know.
Interesting.
And so I had to put this story together that was going to navigate the waters of what I thought was a good story, the fandom, all these things, without knowing what happened to that character in the end. And that was wild. And I had written, I think most of it by the time that issue came out. Certainly close to, if I hadn't written 4, I was pretty close. And so I had to figure out a way to end the book in a way that was going to feel good, even though the character had been redeemed and died, which was interesting. A really cool writing challenge. But I was worried it was a tight wire act, tight wire, high wire.
Yeah, high wire, tightrope. I'm with you.
A high wire act on a tightrope. So it was tricky.
No, and honestly, I can imagine. And also, there has to be a level of excitement because this stuff is in canon. Am I correct? All the Marvel Star Wars stuff is in canon.
Every Star Wars story I've done is in canon, with the exception.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it feels really good. Like the whole series with his lightsaber and the whole bit. I did all that with camo. So it was. It's one of the things that's really fun and rewarding about working in Star Wars these days is that every story you tell is part of the story, part of the over story. And so I feel like that's a huge privilege because unlike say in Marvel and DC, which again, I love, but
sure.
We've seen a lot of course, Lobot's the best. So I've seen a lot of Spider-Man origin stories, Batman origin stories, been retold a million times. But at least until they reboot again, the story of Darth Vader getting his lightsaber is a story that I and Giuseppe Camicoli told in the comics, and that's it. That's the one.
That's amazing.
It is, and it really makes you bring your A game if this is something you care about, because you don't want to be the guy who screwed up the story of Darth Vader getting his red lightsaber. So I just really try to stay focused and remember what I love about Star Wars. Push it as far as I can go. Give story group conniption fits sometimes with the choices that I make, but it's not like a conflict. You just try to tell the best, most exciting story you can, and sometimes that story is in conflict with other stories that are already being told, or whatever the reason is. So you adjust. But yeah, it's all in canon. The High Republic stuff's all going to be in canon. It's all fictional universe. So it's really it's a thrill, man. I love working in Star Wars. I love it.
Have you had a chance ever to talk to Walt Simonson or Roy Thomas? The past Star Wars writers and stuff. John Ostrander is another name that comes to mind.
I have not. I have spoken to Howard Chaykin, but I have not spoken to any of the writers, which would be interesting. I've spoken to Timothy Zahn, who wrote the series of novels,
absolutely,
the Heir to the Empire books, which is really what was responsible for keeping Star Wars fandom alive
100%.
in many ways between the 4, 5, and 6 and the prequels. And he has an interest because he was the guy. That trilogy really was amazing and incredible, and brought so many things to Star Wars that it really needed right around then, and really kickstarted the expanded universe. So those guys, all the expanded universe people, whether it's comics or novels or any of it, are James Luceno. There's so many.
Yes.
They just it was a time when Star Wars it wasn't like it is now. Like the fandom for Star Wars for a long time in between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy was like stuff existed, but you really had to seek it out, and it wasn't there weren't like Legos. I mean, I guess there were toys and stuff around, but it was like everything was kind of on like the burner was tiled down to low a little bit. And
totally.
So Star Wars fandom, it's like when there isn't a Star Trek show on the air. Like these periods where Star Trek is kind of, it's around, but it's mostly the fandom keeping it alive.
Absolutely, and it's the books that kind of keep us going. So no, I completely agree. Yeah. Now we're getting a lot of questions about wait 1 second. Oh, okay, one more Star Wars question, then I do want to talk some Undiscovered Country. So now he knows all the Star Wars books.
All right.
Okay, I've read it.
And Obi-Wan.
What is the book he should read next? Because there's so much.
Well, the next one, I think there's only one book to go to. It's my Darth Vader series. It's called Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. There's 4 volumes. It tells the story of how Darth Vader, like it starts right after episode 3, at the first moment that he's in his suit of armor. So he says that big no moment at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and then my book starts right then. So I know I'm plugging my own thing, but it's
no, I'm laughing at that terrible moment of no, but you're right. No, that's where the story should begin. Absolutely, man. That's cool. I'm impressed. So, all right, here, let's talk a little Undiscovered Country. And obviously this Liam Jarrett says the worst comic to lace free, or the last issue of an arc, like Undiscovered Country. So yet, where are you in the Undiscovered Country story?
So Undiscovered Country, which is a series that I do with Scott Snyder, and I co-write it. We're my good friend, and then Giuseppe Camuncoli, who actually drew that Darth Vader series that I mentioned a minute ago. So the premise of Undiscovered Country is that the United States closes its borders, seals its borders, like now or a couple years from now, completely seals them off. Like deploys satellites to prevent any electronic surveillance, and like just you have no idea what's happening in the country. No communication, no trade, no signals, nothing. And so the book picks up 30 years later when an expedition goes in to see what's over the wall and see what's happening in the United States at that time. And so it's a very like evocative premise for right now with the world being isolated the way that it is.
Yeah.
Off. We did not know that the coronavirus was coming. A global respiratory pandemic actually is a huge part of the Undiscovered Country plot.
That's amazing.
It's just weird how sometimes just, the stories just go. But basically when the expedition goes over the wall, they find that the United States has become like a vastly, vastly different place. It's become sort of divided into these zones that are all very unique and different. And they're all like the one they land in is sort of a kind of a Mad Max with Americana sort of deal.
Okay.
But then the next one will be very, very different, and the next one after that is different, and so they have to explore all these different zones as they go through the country. So it's very cool. We have a long run planned. It launched at Image as I think their biggest launch, for sure their biggest launch in 5 years and maybe a decade. Like it was a big launch, and we're very excited about it. We had all this momentum behind it. Issues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all came out monthly, looking great. We're doing really well. And then again, the delay. And issue 5 ends with a big cliffhanger, and issue 6 ends the first arc. And so we had it. It was done. Like it was ready to go. It was ready to send to the printer. And then obviously there was no point in sending anything to the printer because Diamond wasn't distributing books to stores. So we know the wait has been really hard for that. And we had planned an oversized issue, which is basically an issue and a half. It costs us, and because we pay all the costs when we create an image issue, and Discover Country is published by the Amazing Image Comics, but they're all creator owned and self-funded and whatever, generally speaking. So we invested a lot in this issue. We wanted to give the fans, the people who are reading it, a really great experience. And we were nervous about what was going to happen after the pandemic. We just didn't know what orders were going to be like or anything like that. And so we considered holding the issue for longer, and holding the trade, which is going to come out in July, as well, because we wanted, it's not like, we're not Marvel, right? We can't kind of take a hit the same way in terms of an issue, like if it doesn't land.
Yeah.
But then we also thought, like the stores are going to be open. They're going to need stuff on their shelves to sell. Fans are going to want something to read. It just felt like we should just put it out. So the book's issue 6 is out June 10th, which is next week, I guess.
A week from Wednesday. Yeah.
Yep. So it's out next Wednesday, and then the trade is out in July, like I said. So it's really it's great to be back working on that book, like with the team, and we have issue 7 is nearly done, and like it will continue. The train will keep rolling, and we'll just keep going. And we're all a little uncertain. Like the orders for issue 6 have come in, and they're awesome. They were really strong, but it's really, what is going to happen? Like, how will people buy comics? Will they go to stores? It's all very unclear, but our job is to make the stories and make them available to people. And we're going to do our part, and hopefully people will be able to find them and read them and enjoy them. That's all we can do.
And every store is going to obviously react to this in a different way. And I mean, that's kind of been a constant conversation with not only creators, but Heidi McDonald and I think were the first to really, like, when, at least on my show, to have the subject and say, what is shopping going to look like? What's browsing going to look like? Will you be able to browse? I mean, and again, I think depending on the city, that's going to be an interesting question. And I even want to talk to a couple stores once more of the country is up and running. I have a couple stores in mind, and one is still on lockdown, and neither are in Chicago. So really, I do kind of want to like hip hop across the coast and everything, and see how everybody's handling it and everything.
I think that'd be I'd like to know. I have obviously I have close friends who are shop owners, and they all have sort of differing approaches to it and differing reports on what's been going on. Like I know that like Steve Anderson, who runs Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, has I think his store is one of the best in the country, and he's been very, as expected, he's been very kind of light on his feet and fluid and flexible about, like, he bought a van and called it the Battle Wagon, and he's driving comics to people and dropping them off, and like he's doing
That's fantastic.
He's doing everything he can. Yeah, he's amazing. He's doing everything he can to make sure people can still get their comics despite the terrible situation that we're in. But not every store is going to respond the same way. I know a bunch of stores have been unable to continue, which is just like bars and restaurants and all these other things. It's unfortunate, but retail, if it can't operate, it can't operate. So I don't know. I would like to think I don't like to. I mean, I know comics is resilient. Comics has been through crazier things than this, and is still here. And I'm sure that will continue to be the case. I just, I look forward to when Wednesday is just another day, as opposed to the kind of weird way it is now.
Totally, man. And I look forward to the day that, travel will normalize again, and we'll go to conventions again as well. And that's why.
Man, we were talking about this before we started. Like, I think this weekend I was supposed to be in, I don't know, Puerto Rico or something, like,
Oh, no kidding.
But like I had the biggest schedule of international shows booked this year that I ever had. I mean, I was going to go to New Zealand. I was going to go to South Africa.
Wow.
I had Mexico. I had, as I said, Puerto Rico. Like, there were a lot of cool shows lined up, and I was like, this is going to be my year. But, it'll be my year another year. It's still a great year.
Oh, I hear you, man.
Obviously, it's very different than was expected.
No, I understand. I don't know if you want to comment on this, and I'll comment if you don't want to. But what are your thoughts on books going digital only with a trade later?
Right. So I have some friends who are, their books are in that boat. Marvel is doing that with a couple of titles, and
DC too.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I think it is smart to pivot to a way that people can get books no matter their circumstance. I think that is is good. And I like that books are being made available digitally because it means that the creators can get their stories out, a revenue stream can be generated, all of that stuff. That said, man, I love print, and you got to support the direct market and all that stuff. I guess what I would say about it is I think that it is a solution that is about as good as can be figured out considering a very, very complicated situation where they don't want to, you know, screw with the direct market who need books to put out, but they also want to make stories available to people now. So, you know, it's a little bit of a back and forth, but I think it's good.
I understand. I'm going to bring Ryan into the conversation.
Hey,
there he is. Brownie, good to see you.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
What's
Ryan.
happening?
Excellent to see you, my man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking, and actually, it's a good moment to bring you in here, Ryan, because you're a guy that has benefited both from digital and from stores as well, and hand selling to stores as you have in the past. And yeah, I mean, honestly, God, you know, I didn't even know. Charles was even telling me that Challengers unfortunately got hit by all the chaos and everything this weekend with the riots that have been going on in the cities and stuff. And it's Jesus, it's fucking tragic. I'll say it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my God. But yeah, you know, I mean, and then the macro level, we just don't know what shopping is going to look like once, you know, the pandemic bans are lifted and we can reach some sense of normalcy from a retail standpoint. And, you know, yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts?
Oh, I mean,
let me hit you with the essay question right off the bat.
A lot of thoughts. Well, I mean, I've always been a person that, like, I love comic shops. And obviously, like, it's, you know, it's a clubhouse. It's a huge part of reading comics. But, you know, there's obviously where you have a world where digital and physical comics can like coexist, and the way that people read comics is kind of both at the same time. So far it's you know, the thoughts of print being killed by digital haven't happened, and that's been wonderful. And so they've been able to kind of coexist. I have always kind of existed in this place in my career where I build up a really strong fan base that isn't necessarily like the world's largest fan base, but there's people that really like want my stuff. Like
they're devoted to you. Absolutely,
right,
man. No,
like,
and it's a nice number that's devoted to you. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm all right having a cult audience because most of the stuff that media that I really like is cult stuff, right? You know, like where you really get it and you really believe in the creator is part of the art, you know?
Yes.
And so my career has never been really that much of, you know, working for large companies, work for hire, where I just kind of turn the stuff in and I don't show, you know, me in it, you know, like, so even
said though, our Marvel and DC collaborations have been very, very signature, you know, Browne Soule, I would say.
Definitely.
Real fast, go through the titles that you guys have done together at the Big Two.
Well, we did 2 pages of Swamp Thing.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
We did 10 pages of what was that? Inhumans, a Secret War thing.
Yeah.
Very cool. Excellent.
And we did a 1-page X-Men story where Wolverine saves Hanukkah because a family is snowed in and can't get to, you know, their Hanukkah dinner. So Wolverine, that was at the time when his claws were hot. You know,
Charles's hot claws.
Yep, mine. Own it. And
you made them happen.
Yeah. So,
true.
So the family, the dad's trying to shovel out the driveway. Not enough time. They're snowed in. They're not going to make it. They're going to be late. Going to ruin Hanukkah. And then Wolverine runs by. He just runs by, and his claws are so hot that the driveway snow melts. And Ryan, you nailed it. You sold every moment of it.
Oh,
That's insane.
I mean, having to tell a complete story in 1 page. So far, Charles and I told a complete story in 1 page, complete story in 2 pages, and then a complete story in 10 pages. So one day we'll do a full issue.
Maybe. You know, I don't know what this big giant dictionary-sized curse words that you got coming out.
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
Well, let us tell you about it, John.
Indeed, yes, indeed. So the big omnibus is hitting our shores eventually. I mean,
literally.
How many days left in the campaign as of this recording?
7, 6.5 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I got in under the wire.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ryan and I, starting in 2017 and running through 2019, did a series called Curse Words for Image Comics. And the premise is that a wizard named Wizord, who is a total dick, he is an evil wizard. He is from a hellish dimension called the Whole World, Hole world. And his boss there, who's a demon, sends him to our world to destroy it because he hates Earth so much. And so Wizord gets here and he's like, this is actually not so bad. I live in a shitty hell dimension. This is pretty cool. And so he decides to stay, and he tells everybody on Earth that he's actually a good wizard, and he gets like super famous and gets cool sunglasses and whatever. But then his boss back home is pissed, and so starts sending assassins to kill him and the world. So Wizord has to start killing all these assassins, and so he's sort of de facto defending the world. So he kind of becomes a good wizard, sort of, even though he's still always a dick. And so that's the series. It is for children, especially. No, it's not right.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's called Curse Words. I don't know. I don't know how Mom is going to feel about it. But Mom!
Sophisticated tweens, perhaps.
There's very little cursing for a book called Curse Words.
Yes.
And when they do curse, it really hits. It really hits.
All right.
So anyway, there were 20. That issue ran for 28 issues, or the series ran for 28 issues. It wrapped up completely. It's beautiful, like it's the full story. And Ryan and I decided that we're going to do an omnibus edition for it, which is 768 pages long. It's beautiful, and we're kickstarting it now. So Ryan, I'm going to let you take it from there.
Okay. Well, we're kickstarting it now.
Yes.
And it's gone very, very well. It's been awesome to see the Curse Words fans come out and get excited about the whole thing altogether. It's by far the most ambitious design, printing, and shipping project that I've ever been involved in.
You've been involved with some, big ones though, Rise. So that's interesting to hear that.
It's man. I mean, the longest book hardcover that I've ever put together. I've never put like the Blast Furnace book was 256 pages, but in terms of like a 768 page InDesign file on my computer, just is very hard to deal with, and it's great. Like it's like you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll forever. So like I don't know, it's really thrilling that like the last 4 years of Charles and I working together, and we're workaholics. So like this was a monthly book that came out monthly, so it's a lot. Like we did a lot in 4 years.
In addition to the tour that you guys took together as well. So above and beyond just putting a book out and stuff like that, you guys hit the pavement hard.
I drew an entire issue on that tour. And so we would take turns. We'd wake up in a hotel. Charles would be writing.
I don't know if I hear this part of the story, but go on.
I mean, well, we slept in the same room many times. But I'd be drawing in the hotel room, and Charles would be writing, and then we get on the road, and then whoever wasn't driving the van for the first 3 out of the 5-6 hours would be working in the passenger seat, and vice versa. And then we get to the hotel, or we get to a store, we do the signing, go to the hotel. Then we'd have a cocktail at the hotel bar, watch Twin Peaks: The Return, which was airing at that time, and then continue to work. So, somehow I'd get we'd both get about 5 to 6 hours of work in on a given day while on tour, because we like our jobs, and we made it work.
Yeah, it was great.
But we passed that comment from the Peanut Gallery. Just saw the Curse Words Kickstarter yesterday. It looks so cool that I opted in immediately. I've never read the book at all. Well, you're in for 768 pages.
You're going to read it now.
That's, Can I go? I'll go. Okay, so the other big thing about this.
I think the thing about that.
The other big thing about this is that it has a new issue in it.
That's what I was hoping you guys would talk about.
Right. And that's something that we talked about. Maybe we would do a special down the line or another mini series. And the way everything came together, it's like, well, we finished that last issue in November. Did that come out in November? And then the trade came out in December, I think. So it's been a while since we worked together. But the idea of revisiting his characters, immediately starting to get such great nostalgia for it. usually when a series comes back after a long layoff, it's been 5-6 years, but this has actually only been like 6 months. But like, yeah, it's like Twin Peaks: The Return. When I like talking to people, it's like, oh, I'm watching Twin Peaks: The Return. I'd never seen the series, so I just watched the original series and went straight into The Return. And you kind of like this new reader, you kind of miss the waiting and the plotting and the holding out. Like, so the idea of getting to binge it all at once is awesome. I think that's really exciting.
That's excellent, man. Very cool.
The other fun thing, I mean, we should. So the Kickstarter, it's completely funded. It funded in less than 3 hours, which is really exciting. So the book will absolutely, it'll come out. You can pledge with confidence, and it's done well enough that we have hit a lot of really cool stretch goals on the project. And so I think we're at something like almost 500% funded, which is wild. And
outstanding, boys. Well done.
It's really exciting. And the so we started with, like, at first we'll do a 5-page news story, then a 10-page, then a 20, and then the Kickstarter started to do so well that we're like, oh shit, we're gonna have to start thinking of some interesting things to do. And so as of now, I'm gonna miss some stuff, but I know we've added in a bookmark, which is amazing, a bookmark, but we've also added in.
But it's nice. No, it's like a ribbon. It's a ribbon that's sewn into the binding.
Oh, very nice. Oh, yeah, fancy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that wasn't cheap.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, get excited, guys. Bookmark. So but we are also including a 1-page sneak peek of our next Silent E Productions. As you can see from our last names here,
yes.
Ryan Browne ends with an E, and Charles Soule ends with an E. So
it's not Soule. I was told by very, very wise people that it was Soule, but okay, Charles.
It wasn't me this time.
I'm being an asshole right now. No, right now, Brian Salazar and Chris Neesman are like, "Fuck you, John."
So it's Silent E Productions. But so we have another book that we're going to start doing. Basically as soon as the Kickstarter stuff's done, and so one of the stretch goals is a sneak peek of that. We're doing an audio drama version of the whole first issue where Ryan and I do all the voices.
That sounds
fantastic. I am composing right now it's a 5-song EP, but we're less than $1,000 away from a full concept album that I'm gonna write and record.
That's outstanding, Charles. Yeah. I had no idea. That's fantastic to hear this.
I am not involved in this at all.
I love every idea.
I have no abilities.
And the only thing that would make it cooler is if you put it on. Remember the Flexo discs, those little floppy like things that were inside magazines and shit.
Oh man!
Right now we're at 120. I think we're at like at 119,000 is where we are now. And 120 is when the concept album is unlocked. So we've got a week left. We're gonna get it's almost.
Come on, everybody! I want that album.
But the cool thing is, at the $150,000 level, which is a real stretch, but we could do it. We get we're actually going to make a vinyl out, like an LP of the concept.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll get there. I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen? It's very exciting, but we might.
That is hilarious, man. I hear Alex Chung is very impressed that Marvel doesn't put bookmark ribbons in their Omnibuy. That's very true.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Alex. I love Alex. I know Alex. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Jimmy says, I'm still upset Virgil wasn't a real character. He was so cool.
Yeah, Vid, that was in Daredevil. I made it. It was in the last arc of my Daredevil run was called Death of Daredevil, in which he died forever. No more Daredevil.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Everybody. And so there was a character named the Vigil who ended up.
Oh, Vigil.
Like I don't know, sort of a hallucination that Matt Murdock was having as he was dying on the operating table. But it was still super cool. And Phil Noto drew that arc too and did an incredible design for that character. Right, Ryan?
Yay.
I'm going to have to reach back and check that out, Charles. I enjoyed a lot of your Daredevil run. And every time there's another creator, and it's like, well, I mean, how can you follow that act? And I give Zdarsky a lot of credit. Honestly, man, because there was a time when it went from Kevin Smith to Bendis to Brubaker, and then a little, and then around Shadowland, I'm like, yeah, and I love Andy Diggle, but I'm just like, yeah, I'm not feeling it or whatever. And then it picked right back up again with Wade and Somni and you, and now again now we're with Zdarsky. So it's thank you for helping make Daredevil the fun book that it is, and truly that's a great run, man.
An honor and a privilege.
Attaboy. There you go. Exactly. Just serving. Very Mountie-like, isn't he? Right?
He's loving this.
Do you like how I've now imprinted on his wall of booze the word balloon logo?
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah.
Right up there. Well, I mean, it's right up there.
There it is, exactly. Yes. I do that all the time too. I'm not sure which hand and everything because it's all mirror reverse and everything. Yeah, what I mean, honestly, guys, that so like Charles, tell me about this EP. I mean, like
Yeah, Charles, I want to know about this EP.
So I've been a musician for a long time. I've been playing all kinds of different instruments since I was young, and I was in bands, like a lot of different bands. And then I was a practicing lawyer for a long time.
Yes, indeed.
And during a lot of that time, I was still in bands. And then it only really kind of slowed down when the writing career really took off because I no longer really had time to like make sure my bands were good and like practice and rehearse and all that stuff. So I've slowed down a little bit. I still play a ton, and one of the more recent gigs I did actually was the launch party for Curse Words, which was at New York Comic Con in 2016, I think. So not that recent. God.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we had a wizard party because it's Curse Words. And I was there with my band, and we all dressed up as wizards, and we played some amazing wizard-related tunes. Like I put a spell on you, whatever, like tons of stuff. And
Screaming Jay Hawkins, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. We did The Wizard by Black Sabbath. It was great. One of the other things I did was I wrote a theme song for Curse Words called Mr. Magic Man. And I liked it, Ryan liked it, everybody liked it, but it was only performed at once. Because we didn't have another wizard party. And so it's kind of just been sitting in my back pocket, this incredible tune. It's like a real rocker. And I figured, why not get it out to the people? And so that was a stretch goal at like whatever, I don't know, some 85 grand or some picky number. And now that has moved to a new level where I'm going to be doing 5 songs. And again, if we get another $1,000, which I think we will, it'll be a full concept album, which I think is going to be like probably at least 10. And so I'm just going to write all these songs, all this new material around the characters and lore of Curse Words.
Sure.
I'm going to have Ryan play a lot of instruments on it, a lot of percussion instruments. No, you're going to do the
Come on, play the maracas. Do a Davy Jones at least, Ryan. And play the maracas.
I quit being in band and percussion in 10th grade, so it's been a while. But for a while, I took drum lessons.
I did too.
Yeah.
And I was horrible.
The narrator, Ryan? Can you be the ominous narrator?
I can do whatever you want me to.
In a time when the world was, I don't know, you do it.
I just want your expectations to be, in the right sphere. I'll do whatever you want me to. If you want me to play the harp, I can figure out how to make some noises on a harp. You just get me a harp, I'll figure it out.
Despite their collaborations, do you hear the conflict, everybody? Do you hear the tension?
Constant.
And you guys are even talking about doing something new after this.
We have never made a concept album before together. I will say that. This is unbroken ground for us. But I'm really excited because it's a chance for me to do, like, I love music. I've always loved music, and I have a lot of kind of time put into it, but I don't always have the excuse to kind of kick my own ass and do new material. And so this is a chance to write stories that I already know and love, turn it into kind of a, it's going to be really like I have new ideas about it every day. Like I'm thinking, well, what if I did this? What if I started it this way? And like, so I really do want to start it with like an ominous narrator going off like over like under, organ pads, like, like Lord of the Rings music stuff.
Or Spinal Tap. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's very Spinal Tap. That is really the main influence in what I'm thinking this is going to be.
Nobody knows who they were or what they were doing.
Right. It's just going to be a Stonehenge, full length Stonehenge.
That's what I'm expecting. Charles, have you done any? And I actually, I not to name drop, but I was talking to Joe Casada today, and I forgot to ask him what I'm about to ask you. With your music buddies, have you guys done any like Zoom jamming or anything like that? That again, very interesting creativity coming from the pandemic. And one of those things is not only the staircase solo performances by bands, but I love when the bands are all remote and doing some incredible songs and stuff. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the experience I found is that it's like harder to pull that off than you think because there's like lag and things like that. And live music is very much a, it's in the moment, instantaneous. You're hearing it, you're doing it, you're playing, you're reacting. And the internet, if one person's internet is not perfect, it's like,
oh yeah,
it's not. But I've done a bit. I've done some recording. I've done some, just a bunch of things to kind of get ready for this my magnum opus, which is the Curse Words concept album, which is going to have a great title, Ryan. What are we going to call that thing?
Oh man, I don't know. The Curse Words concept album.
You could call it that, or you call it Wizards. You're gonna have to put like Wizards name in there somewhere.
How about Ryan did not have anything to do with this? That's a good title.
Do you have a home studio then, Charles? Do you have like a full?
Yeah, I mean anything can kind of be a home studio now. I have
True.
a writing studio, which I don't know why I'm pointing that way. It's actually like that way. I guess it is kind of anyway. Where it's inside the word balloon, but
okay, good.
I'm not a bass guy, comic correct with Jimmy. I'm very much a guitar and lead vocals guy.
Are you sure that wasn't a bass guy?
Yeah, it could be a bass guy. You could be, yeah, exactly.
But I have a writing studio that is very, very like sealed up and will work as an isolation booth. So I'm going to use that for some of the recording. I'm going to do some I got plans. I got big plans. Don't worry about that.
Have you ever seen that?
Really, really, really talented drummer buddy's going to come lay some tracks down. It's going to, whatever. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I'm going to be very ambitious about it and drive myself crazy making it. So for whatever that's worth.
Have you ever seen that Les Paul documentary where he went back to like a house he and Mary Ford were at when they were on the road, and there was like this one hallway that had amazing acoustics, and he set up his portable 8-track and stuff and recorded Mary
I'm not surprised. Like that. I mean, Les Paul was, he was the engineer, the first real like audio engineer.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff. So it doesn't surprise me at all. But like a room with good acoustics, like I'm looking at like the room over here has great. You can't see it, but take my word for it. Great acoustics. You'd be able to see them.
That's why the word balloon's there. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fantastic. Honestly, man, I think that's great. And now that I'm done teaching, I was teaching me and Tim Seeley at the same time, not at the same class, thank God. But we were both teaching at Columbia College this semester and laughing the entire time. Now Tim knew what he was doing. I managed to fool him for 13 weeks, and that's fine. But now that I'm done, I really want to do an audio project. Katrina Longworth and that You Must Remember This. Do you guys know that old Hollywood story podcast? It's narrative storytelling. I mean, it's just her doing narration. Occasionally she might have a different voice or whatever, but it's her under mood music kind of telling stories. And I really want to do the real history of boxing when the mob was running. The mob was running boxing, and really start like
awesome.
when Joe Louis gave up the title to Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was the last mob controlled heavyweight. And
John,
I just think that's a
do
fascinating.
that. Like,
I would totally listen to that, John.
Oh, thanks, man.
Absolutely.
So that's the plan, and I honestly talk about it to keep myself honest and do it. So
all right, I'll text you every month asking you where it is.
Exactly.
You know what, John? We'll make it a stretch goal for the Curse Words podcast. Then you can't let the fans down.
Curse Words presents the history of boxing. Well, it could happen.
There's a lot of cursing and words in boxing. It works.
Well, I'm excited, guys. And again, you've got just over a week left in the campaign. I think that's terrific. And I don't know what else. I mean, do you want to mention? Do you have other artists that came in and did sketches for people? Are all those claimed already? I'll shame on me for not looking on the page to see what's been claimed.
We did. We have a lot of special editions. Like one of the things that makes Kickstarter a different experience than buying at a store or buying digitally is that Charles and I are directly involved in every package that's going out. So we're able to do ones where Charles draws on your book for you.
Fun.
Which is cool.
Is it?
There are also ones where I draw, but the Charles drawings, like, because look, I've spent a lot of time signing with this man and we've drawn back and forth. He cares about his drawings and he tries. He really tries. So that is exciting. All the Charles stuff. I'm really excited. We have an edition now that is the Priceless Gems edition, where I'm going to use all these adhesive costume gems and put them all over the cover of the book, and then
like
make
bedazzled,
basically bedazzle the book, right? So it's like this legendary bejeweled tome.
Well, that's nice, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the inside, I'm putting a library card with a list of all the wizards who owned the book before you, and then I write your name in it, and then I like distress that and burn it and like put it in tea, and then I'll glue that in. So We're doing, it's kind of stuff I do for my Kickstarters usually, but now Charles is doing it with me. So we have a two-pronged effort of dumb ways to make your book super limited.
Should we tell people how to find it? Have we already done that? Like, should we? I mean,
please feel free. No, absolutely.
The easiest way to be a part of this grand experience, get your own concept album, your own, burned book that Ryan will burn for you if that's what you want.
I'm not burning the book. I'm going to burn the library card that I'm going to put in.
Ryan, you and I both know that's going to go very wrong.
I know. Some books may get burned. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, you just go to Kickstarter and search curse words, and it'll come up right away. It's curse words is given it their seal of approval. It's a project they love. Again, it's almost 500% funded at this point. So there's
amazing.
If you pledge, you will definitely get your book and all the extras and all the other things that we're doing to make it exciting. The audio drama, the record, the the crazy drawings, the sneak preview of our next project, which is really exciting for both of us. So
I'm really excited. One of the things that we're doing for a stretch goal is Charles keeps notebooks that he physically handwrites for all of his projects. And so he's going to scan portions of the curse words, notebook for people, and they'll get a digital download of that.
Wonderful.
It's basically what happened was we thought this could go well. We never thought it would go this well. So we are emptying everything we can bonus to people to say thanks. So I don't know if I've ever seen a Kickstarter that had so many bonus free items packed in for people, but why not? It's gonna be fun.
Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can pledge $1 and get $20,000 worth of stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, maybe.
Correct. Right, correct me if I'm wrong. $1.
You're a little wrong.
I prove it.
To get the best of the stretch goals, you have to buy the physical book. But we do offer, especially if you're an international backer. I mean, it's a heavy book, and we're taking a hit trying to make the international shipping as cheap as possible. But you can get that PDF. There'll be you get a lot of the PDF stretch goal content just from getting the PDF of the book. If that's your speed.
Free shipping for most of it in the United States.
The United States shipping is free. Yes.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You pledge a penny, you get like half a grand in value.
This is why I'm the detail guy, I guess.
Clearly.
Charles is the big idea guy.
I'm not going to Charles for my taxes anytime soon.
I have to rein him in, and
we will send every backer. This is Ryan's guarantee. We'll send every backer a check for $1,500.
That's not true.
Right, Ryan?
Let me put the word balloon disclaimer and say
Ryan.
that's not at all.
I'm drinking the new edition of Beer Haze Astronauts to change from Charles' wild lying.
Is that a Three Floyds product? I'm just guessing.
It's Half Acre.
Half Acre, lovely. Shame on me. Very nice. That's outstanding.
Send everyone beer, Ryan. No matter if you're 13 years old, you can get free beer by pledging to the Kickstarter.
Well, as Jabba says, as a lawyer, what do you suggest they do to creators who don't fulfill their Kickstarters?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, certainly, I don't associate with folks like that. I don't know them. I don't know what they do. I assume they, their lives are miserable and deservedly so. I don't know. I assume you sue. I guess you sue. You just sue them. Sue them a lot.
Well, I think there have been some class action lawsuits, right, where the backers all get together.
Have there truly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure about for a comics Kickstarter, but for some of the other ones, I mean,
sure.
There were watch Kickstarters that went for 50 smartwatch Kickstarters that went for $50 million, extraordinary numbers.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And those, I know people that back those, and they still get updates 7 years later, whoa, production problems on our smartwatch or whatever,
Wow.
But this is my 6th Kickstarter, and so one of the great things about this is the book is completely done and even designed with only the new issue is the only thing left to do. So right now it's 746 pages of finish. And then we've got 22 pages left to do.
Okay.
So, like for me, Kickstarter is like this trust-based economy. Like you're giving us money ahead of time, like a pre-order, because you're trusting that we're going to give you the book. So it's for Charles and I, we have to do as much of the work ahead of the time to warrant your trust. Because otherwise, if we're just like, hey, we're going to make this comic eventually, give us money, then why would we expect you to give us money? Like that would be unfair to you. So yeah, I've done that with all of my Kickstarters. Some of them I've even the books have been so done that I've spent money out of my pocket to send in the press during the Kickstarter, and then once I get paid, because you get paid at the end of the Kickstarter, once I get paid at the end, I pay myself back. I've done that before, but this one we still, because of all the stretch goals and all the add-ons, like now, like all the backers get their names printed inside the book, which is awesome. So I still have to like design that. So yeah, I mean, it's 96% done. So, I want to take almost all the risk out,
I was told there'd be no math today, but okay.
What if this isn't even a stretch, it's just something we do. We have this new issue we're doing, right? What if we draw a picture of every backer in that issue? Make them a character, give them a line. You
can draw that. Go for it.
You're
good, dude. You're good. You got chops?
All right. How many backers do we have anyway?
I don't know. A lot.
I believe
Stadium's worth
something like 1,303. You tell them you can't draw 1,303 likenesses.
You've had me do that before.
Yes.
All right,
Never again.
And it works.
Charles is getting irrational.
Yeah.
Right. As he drinks more booze. Here's an idea. Why don't you have more liquor? So, here, hold on a second. Joe Mulvey has a point to make. Ryan has over-delivered on every Kickstarter he's done so far. I completely agree with that. Can't wait to get this book in my hands. Will personal hand-delivered book by Ryan and Charles be an option for your Kickstarter?
It is. And this is not one of Ryan's silly jokes, John. This is the truth, okay? The highest possible pledge tier on the Curse Words Omnibus Kickstarter is the $10,000 tier. That's expensive. I realize that. But remember we spoke earlier about how Ryan and I went on a van tour around the United States. Yes, if you pledge at the $10,000 level, Ryan and I will buy a van. We will decorate it in wizard style, and we will drive it to you. In that van will be all of the cool stuff. Art and the book and us will be in it too. You don't own us. We are not your property, but we will hand deliver the book to you, and you get to keep the van.
Yeah, and I would assume, we haven't talked about it, but I assume they maybe will get even 2 books. Because it's a van, there's enough room.
Yeah, we could probably fit 2 books in there. I don't know.
2 books.
It depends. Shouldn't we put that value into the van so we can actually drive it to wherever it's supposed to go and it'll make it?
Yeah.
Joe Mulvey's. We just sold the van to Joe Mulvey.
You get a van. Very nice.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Fantastic. You know what? I don't think we did limit that, Brian. I think any weeks, in theory, could sell 100 vans.
No, I limited it. Don't worry, I got you. There's only one.
Oh my God! All right, so go to Kickstarter, search for Curse Words, and just under a week left, and join the 1,300 plus backers. Honestly, really right, and we'll talk more. I'll spring Charles because I told him he could go, and especially now that he's gotten so irrational, I'm waiting for him to pull out a pistol or something like that, and then things are really going to get interesting.
Watch out!
You know,
you like him in your boxing podcast. All right.
Well done, Charles.
For having me, John. It's always a huge pleasure. And
likewise, buddy.
Brian doesn't, drag air over the coals too much.
No. And, whenever the first arc of Undiscovered Country is done and ready, you can come back, obviously. And I'm talking to Scott, hopefully in the next few, week or so. I don't know if it's going to be a purely dark metal conversation or not because he's got the big DC thing coming up. But no, we've been exchanging direct messages, so. Looking forward to talking to him.
That's awesome. All right. Well, give him my best. I could just text him, but no, I'm going to leave it to you. You have to give him my best.
All right. Fair enough. I understand. All right. Be well. Great seeing you, Charles. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye, Charles.
See you later, Charles. Take care. You're not. There you go. I was going to say, I didn't know if you knew how to leave. Very good. How do I get out of here?
I don't know.
So, Rye, literally just a couple days ago, I was talking to Jim Rugg, And I think back of that great Cincy Comic-Con that Tony Moore had. And seriously, man, it was so much fun watching you and Jim talk about Kickstarter and how you guys approach making books. And even now when you're talking about doing the Distressed Library, card to see who's in there. That's the thing, man. Seriously, I love that about both of you guys. You guys are just off the wall with this shit. And truly, it's like these are your superpowers, is the fact that you guys think like this and make these really interesting books and these kind of choices.
Yeah, it's a lot of entertaining myself, I guess. I figured out very long ago to make the best work I can, I have to be having fun while I'm doing it. And I have fun while being silly and while making stuff up and, using my imagination. So with any projects like this, I feel like the presentation needs to be as much me as the artwork is. So, and I've just figured that out over the years. And with some of these Kickstarters, I really got myself into trouble by promising too much. And it just became like this, oh my gosh, do you know how many of these I have to do? There was, for the first God Hates Astronauts hardcover Kickstarter, I offered this edition called the Defaced Edition. And I went with a Sharpie and I would deface every single page of your 186 page book. And I did like 20 of these and like, just drawing dongs and, swear words and boobs and like mustaches on everything. And I went through every single page and oh my gosh, that was so miserable. Like doing it once was like, all right, this is fun. Sure. That took me 5 hours. And now I've got to start and do it again. I was like, oh gosh. So that was a mistake. But
Jesus.
I've learned, but that kind of stuff is like, well, and this gets me excited about the project because I have so much fun coming up with these ideas,
Yeah. The thing I like though, honestly, is that you, and maybe it was with God Hates Astronauts because it was an Image book for a while, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you decided, no, something actually you like the control. I'm putting words in your mouth. Tell me why God Hates Astronauts made more sense as the way you were doing with Kickstarter rather than doing Image.
Honestly, it just comes to not having a big enough audience to make an Image book work. Like Image is the best publisher in the world. They let me do everything, right? Like anything I wanted. I didn't have to run anything by them. I literally just, here's a month, I will make this book and I will turn in 32 pages and they will print it. And that was it. Like they have one editor who proofreads to make sure like all my misspellings get fixed. But
sure.
But no, Image was absolutely perfect. And like having it as a monthly book is great. Like the monthly schedule on a book where I was doing most of it was because I was writing it, I was drawing it, I was designing it, I was doing a cover for each issue. I was coloring variant covers. I was doing a lot of coloring on the inside. The only thing I wasn't doing was lettering, but Chris Crank would letter it and then he'd give it back to me and then I'd make the adjustments myself because like the visual, like me writing a script and then seeing the word balloons on my drawings, like to make the comedy really hum, I feel like I need to go in and change it so I can visually read the panel with the art. So we had this whole agreement that, I would list myself as also a letterer because, I was changing what he was doing, which is like really annoying. And I know it's annoying of me, but yeah, I first did it self-published and then I did a Kickstarter and then Image, got Image's attention and they re-released the Kickstarter and a soft cover and then I did 10 new issues. But, and it just like, it honestly just didn't sell enough. That's one of the other things about a Kickstarter. Like if you do a Kickstarter and 1,000 people, like this Curse Words book, you have 1,000 people buy it. You do a Kickstarter, it's a big success. If you do 1,000 sales on a single issue of God Hates Astronauts, then that's a huge disaster. So, I would love to just do everything through Image. I'd love to just have that. Like, they're just such a great partner, and especially because like fulfilling Kickstarters is hard and takes a long time. So, but yeah, so like, so that book went back, and I did a Kickstarter for a new hardcover 2 years ago, and then last year I did the final issue through Kickstarter as well. So I'm ramping up eventually to do like an omnibus of that as well. Eventually.
That's cool. I'm looking because someone had asked about your if you have 3D. Here it is. There we go, Ryan Cheshire. Are those 3D cowboy figurines on the shelf behind you?
No, those are mostly Battle Beasts. I don't know if you remember those, and knockoff Battle Beasts. I have 3D cowboys somewhere around here. I have. Oh, this is fun. Let's see here. This is one of 20. This is a King Tiger eating a cheeseburger Funko Pop that an amazing artist made 20 of them. So this is one of the 20 that I have. Yeah, that's really fun stuff. I love toys, obviously, and making toys is very exciting, but it's hard. I don't know how to do it, so I have to hire other people to do it, and then it's it's a lot of work.
I want to compare because, again, like we talked about the distressed library thing, what Rugg is doing right now with Octobriana, making a black light comic. Is there any kind of format like that you would like to experiment with? Or is there, thoughts in terms of that level of presentation that you want to bring to any future works?
No, because printing is very scary.
Sure.
Like I've been talking with Jim about his Kickstarter leading up into it. I was helping him out, like figuring it out. And
yeah, he was telling me. Yes.
And when he told me he's doing blacklight, I used to work in a print shop. I did graphic design, and I also worked in the print shop for 3 years. And then eventually we became a casket store. And I was the head graphic designer for a casket company, and they took all of the warehouses filled with printing machines was filled with cheap Chinese caskets that I had to help sell. Yeah,
insane.
That's a very long story. That is crazy.
Jesus, I don't know. On Cicero in Chicago, as you approach Belmont, on the east side of Cicero, there was a weird storefront that always had a casket in the storefront, and it just freaked me out. And as I would drive to WXRT, I would see this on the way and just go, I have no idea if that's like the showroom and that's a casket store. I have no, but
could be. I mean,
could just be that someone was on display all this time and resting before his final burial. I have no idea, but it was.
There were months where we had a photographer at the company, and our warehouse is filled with these caskets, and there was like over 50 varieties that all had like ridiculous, like the Lincoln, the Dachshund, like this weird dumb names that didn't mean anything.
Absolutely, we'll take the Continental, please.
Right, the Continental, exactly. And so I had to go work with him, and we had to take every casket, take it off the racks, and then put it, and then photograph it with the lid closed and the lid open, and then both lids open, right? And so then, and we had to get it all from like the same angle, so we had like marks on the floor so that they'd all be the same angle. And then I had to Photoshop and make an entire catalog for the Casket catalog, which, was taking the partially open version and then changing the color of the interior so I could show the different interior options, and then the full thing open, different interior options. And I mean, it was months of me staring at caskets every single day.
Did you ever get inside a casket, Ryan?
Yes, I did. I definitely did, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, honestly, I am. Sadly, a lot of depth in the family, so I can't deny. It's like, I wonder what that's like.
It's really.
I'm okay to wait. I'm totally fine to wait. But as someone who's actually been inside a casket, is it comfortable? I mean, is it?
No. It's like it's really cheap.
Yeah,
it's really cheap. Like,
it's really presentation.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of those caskets collapse while they're being buried, right? So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're not strong, and like you think about the weight of 5 feet of earth on you.
Oh, that's true.
It crushes, like they crush when it's being loaded in, right? So who cares? but so yeah, like you'd sit on them, they'd have like springs and like it's like, this is a real dump.
That's hilarious. All right, wait. Someone has a Battle Beast question.
Yes, that is correct. He is correct.
Battle Beasts are the ones that played rock, paper, scissors with fire, water, and wood. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
There you go. Man, I'll tell you, very smart audience. The word balloon audience always on
Yeah,
top.
if you can see the other walls are all Battle Beasts as well. So here, all right, hold on. Let's do this real quick here.
Sure.
There's some over there. There's some. These are all Battle Beasts here.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really set up the studio. I moved into this house and then we had our child 5 weeks early. So whoops.
Adorable kid.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's your avatar, right, on Twitter or whatever?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
That's what I thought, man. Everybody doing okay? Lockdown and everything.
I mean, my wife doesn't have a job, so she's at home and she's mainly taking care of him now. And
good.
I was working on Quantum and Woody, and they just stopped it because pencils down. It was literally phone call, stop what you're doing, and I was in the middle of issue 4. And and so they recently started us back up. So I actually finished it just the other day. But
okay, who's writing that with you?
Chris Hastings.
Okay,
yeah, he's great. I mean, that
cool
for like a work for hire book. I was like, I don't know, work for hire book. I don't know if it's really gonna like itch the creative, scratch the creative itch that I need. And man, it's awesome. Like, it's funny. It has a lot of heart.
I would think that's up your alley, that kind of quantum.
For sure. I mean, I'm really impressed with how good the scripts are, because they're standalone issues and they're 20 pages, and they've got like a full beginning and middle and end. Pages average 6 to 9 panels a page, and a lot of dialogue. So like, the drawing wise, like, it's a lot of acting, and it's a lot of acting with small figures because I have to like fit so much in. So it's it's been a really fun challenge, and like, I'm super proud of it, and I'm glad we got to finish the 4th issue, and I hope one day we can do more.
I was going to ask you. So is the story only 4 parts, or
it's 4 parts, but it ends on a cliffhanger. And like, so here's hoping we can come back and do more, but for the foreseeable future, I'll be working. I have a lot of commissions I took, which has been great, and then I'll have to finish Curse Words, and then start plotting out the next one with Charles.
That's excellent, man. No, honestly, right? I mean, part of the fascination because of the pandemic on my part is seeing how creators are not only doing Kickstarters, but you got Brubaker and Marcos and Alex DeCampi doing Panel Syndicate and all these other possibilities. Comixology doing their Comixology originals and that stuff. So it's interesting to see how comics were still being delivered despite Diamond shutting down for a while and stuff. And now that it's back, as Charles and I were talking about, as you were coming out, we don't know what the shopping experience is going to be.
Yeah.
Once things normalize or whatever. It's a weird time, man. And again, I think people like you are equipped for it because of your success at Kickstarter. Is there someone that you that helped you really kind of, watch for the pitfalls and stuff, or did you really do it on your own?
I have one of my oldest friends is in a band called Murder by Death. And they've been like a touring indie band for 20 years now. And like, they're an amazing band, but also my friend Adam, who's like the main singer-songwriter, like, we grew up together, and they've done a bunch of Kickstarters to fund their albums. So in terms of like a person that bounce things off of each other, like, he's the number one for me. And they just finished the Kickstarter because their entire this year was their 20th anniversary tour, and they were doing a tour across America and then European shows, and they had to cancel the whole thing. And so they did an emergency Kickstarter right before we did the Curse Words one, basically selling merch, and because they had to buy they bought enough merch for a US tour, right? And so they had to basically figure out a way to sell that merch, and
Jesus.
Get the entire band. Basically, the entire band lost their salary for an entire year.
Yeah.
On top of which, just being in debt all of a sudden, so they did that, and it was very successful, and it did really well for them.
Glad to hear.
And so, like, while he was doing that, that's when I started talking with him about doing the curse words book, because Charles and I were not planning to do this for a while. And then when Quantum and Woody stopped, and like, I had to figure out a way to like be creatively moving forward and getting comics out to people, and so it was a little bit of like a whirlwind to get it done in time. But we're
Wow.
the series had already run 28 issues, so most of the content was already done. It was just a question of designing it and then really trying to get the printing quotes, get the shipping quotes, and make sure that we weren't in over our head. So
I understand. I didn't know this. So Murder by Death, did they do a song based on God Hates Astronauts?
Yeah. They that was part of the God Hates Astronauts Kickstarter. The first one was one of the stretch goals was Murder by Death did a theme song for it. So that was pretty thrilling. And then, like, I've done posters for several of their Kickstarters, which was always a fun thing to do.
That's excellent, man.
Yeah.
No, very cool. How you holding up without new baseball?
It's rough, dude. I mean, at this point, I don't like. There's so many other like more serious problems, but really, like, just to not have the thing to look forward to every day is very strange.
Have you watched Korean baseball?
I have.
Isn't it interesting? It's interesting.
Yeah, I like it. I do like it.
Man. Oh God, it was. I was up at 4 a.m. watching Korean baseball.
Okay. So my biggest problem with Korean baseball is that.
Wait a minute! Right now, that sounds like almost the start of a Don Rickles joke. So please continue.
My biggest problem with watching it, well, one, I don't know any of the players. I don't know the history of the teams, right? Sure. But I don't know what to expect stat-wise. That, like, because baseball is so much about the stats tell a story, and it's like, well,
sure,
he had 20 home runs last year, and I'm like, well, I don't know, that's not much compared to like in America, but maybe that's a lot there. Like,
that's a good point.
It's difficult to get the frame of reference of how good or bad players are. The other thing that I think is pretty funny is how bad bullpens are. It is like every game is like, all right, 6th, 7th, 8th inning, here come the runs. I mean, really, if you want action, that's the only part of the game to watch. They're so bad.
I understand. I was watching Real Sports, and they were covering the Korean baseball and stuff. I just like the weirdness that they put the sex dolls in the stands, and then they put masks on the sex dolls. It's like, they're dolls. What do you?
Well, also the cheerleaders are still there, all wearing masks. cheering to dolls. Like,
it's very surreal.
Very weird, man.
I like it. I really like it. And I mean, again, here's the ugly American. The only, you watch things like Mr. Baseball, the movie that Tom Selleck made and stuff. And I read Cromartie's book. Did you ever read Warren Cromartie's book when he was playing in Japan? That was a great 80s book about Americans playing baseball in Japan.
Yeah.
No, I'm fascinated by the way other countries play. And also, I remember reading years ago, and believe it or not, I was reading GQ at this time, but they had a whole thing about Italian baseball.
Really?
And that was very interesting to read.
Interesting.
And I guess during World War II, the GIs introduced baseball to the Italians, and they really liked it. But yeah, it was very funny. And sometimes, like, again, it'll sound stereotypical, but apparently, when a player is called on strikes, they almost are obligated to argue with the umpire whether it was clearly a strike or not, and to save face, basically.
Yeah.
So no, I love shit like that. That's hilarious.
One of the like top 5 life experiences was a Japanese baseball game live.
Wow,
unbelievable!
Unbelievable. That's fantastic, right? Jesus,
just a 3-hour party with strangers just singing and chanting. Every player has their own chant on the home team. Everyone's got noisemakers that you're banging together and stuff. And man, just so fun. Like,
that's
such high energy, awesome. So good.
Now I'll tell you, I've been able to get my boxing fix because, I'm always hoping. You see, again, being an old man, I really like watching the real retro games, and I realize they're showing at times 20-year-old games, 25-year-old games.
Yeah.
But give me the 1964 World Series, or a 50s game with Cardinal game with Harry Carey calling it and stuff, because that's the kind of shit I love, and I've been able to enjoy that with boxing because YouTube has all that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how YouTube is with vintage baseball, if they've got really old stuff.
There's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I've never really looked too old, but like, I've watched some of the '84 Tigers World Series on there.
Sure.
Like they have a lot. It's not fully comprehensive, but if there's a game of note, they usually have at least a summary.
Okay.
I've
been also watching MLB Network for a lot of the documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a great one about the oh god damn it, what year was it? Was it '88 with the Dodgers and Kurt
Gibson? Yeah,
it
was '88. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was great seeing Gibson and Oral Hershiser talk about that series and everything, that year in particular. And then one that's sitting on my DVR and I haven't watched yet is all about Dave Parker's career.
Okay.
I'm really excited to watch that. Oh yeah, he was part of those great Pirate teams.
Yeah, the Pirates. Yeah,
Yeah. So and it's sad. I guess he's got some like either MS or muscular dystrophy. I'm not really sure, but he's really not moving quite well, which is insane when you consider how athletic Dave Parker really was and everything. So no, and again, and I'm sure I've told you this before, Rye, coming from sports talk radio for 16 years, the only thing that would make me want to do day-to-day a job in sports, it isn't really day-to-day, would be working on documentaries.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's funny, there was a whole, obviously they released that little footage of Tyson sparring, and is he really coming back? And I actually was on I was on the Score Thursday talking about it. And like an idiot, it didn't even occur to me until after the fact, and I'm like, oh, he's probably doing this bullshit for some wrestling BS. It's probably not even going to be boxing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. But so that's my. I just knew that you and I both are like, oh man, we miss our sports. So
like a world without sports, like it marked time, right? And without that, like I mark time with the few TV shows that are actually being broadcast that I get excited for, but like you mark time with sporting events, right? Sure. Like something to look forward to, something that you can talk to people about, and it's just gone.
First world problems, and we're both the first ones to admit that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But it's like music. It feeds your soul. It really does. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I completely, and it's also, it's part of the not having it even plays up more the abnormalcy that we're dealing with right now. Mm-hmm. So no, I totally understand. And it's funny because even Charles said, well, we've been through tougher times, and it's like, I don't know, man, comics kept going during World War II.
Yeah.
And sports kept going during World War II.
Yeah.
You had all the 4Fs playing baseball and stuff, like Pete Gray, one-armed Pete Gray playing baseball for the Browns and stuff like that. So, that's funny here. Jabba's go Cards. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, Jabba.
Of course Jabba's a Cardinals fan.
Exactly. He and Neatsman could go get a room somewhere. Absolutely. Jesus. So, that's so funny. You ever talk to Fraction about baseball? Do you know Matt?
I've never met him. No, I don't know.
You guys would have a field day talking baseball. No, he's a big baseball nerd. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, there's a few of us in comics.
Absolutely. Here's one of my high school buddies, Peter Janis. Absolutely, we need sports.
Yeah, we need
Peter
sports.
Peter was a player, so I understand, man. He was a collegiate player. So that's hilarious. Oh, yeah, and he loves the Cubs. Yeah, so do I, buddy, Jabba. I like the Cubs-Cardinal rivalry.
It's great. It's super fun.
Yeah, I mean, really, when they took us out, well, I guess we are still in the same division. Actually, I was going to say the Cubs and the Mets. I miss that rivalry because sadly, I'm old enough to remember when there were only two divisions, and we hated the hell out of the Mets.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Anyway, blah blah blah, dude. Good stuff. So Kickstarter, curse words. You wrapped up kind of Quantum and Woody. It hasn't come out yet, I'm assuming.
No, I just this week is the final colors will be coming in. So
okay.
We'll be wrapping it up, and ends on quite a cliffhanger. So I'm hoping that we get to come back and do at least another 4. But like everything got thrown for a loop for pretty much everyone. So
I hear you, man.
Me working in comics, same thing. So
well, but again, the smart people adapt and move on, and you've clearly done that. And congratulations, seriously.
thanks.
That's an incredible accomplishment with this Kickstarter. I'm happy for both of you, well deserved. And yeah, man, as always, you impressed the hell out of me with how you've been able to really make all this happen with Kickstarter and things, and on your independent projects, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean,
you know.
the Kickstarter, like the timing of these Kickstarters is so strange because so many people don't have money, and like Charles and I have designed this thing to be as affordable as we can make it, and it still is really expensive item, which is why we have like you can actually any of the new stuff we're going to self-publish all the new stuff in a single issue. So like if you've bought the issues and you don't want to buy a $75 hardcover, you can actually buy it for $10. You can get all the new stuff in there, or you can just buy the PDF for like $5. So like if you've read curse words and you don't have money now, like $5 gets you the new stuff at least.
That's outstanding. That's fantastic. Excellent, man. All right, so everyone go to Kickstarter and check out curse words, and there's 6 days left. And as always, Rye, I love talking to you, man. And I'm sorry that it's distance wise, but eventually things will normalize and we'll see each other. And God, man, eventually, hopefully, get to a movie theater and see something at the Music Box.
Wouldn't that be great, man? I miss the Music Box.
Me too,
That's one of my favorite places in Chicago.
Me too. Absolutely, man. So, all right. Well, on that sad note, be well. We'll end on a downer, right?
So I'll recommend this. So
talk to me, buddy.
So this is beer. Yeah, this is Beer Hates Astronauts. I don't make any money off this or anything, but cool. This is the 7th year, I think, of Halfacre doing it. It's one of my favorite beers. Paste magazine said it was the 18th best IPA in the world, which is really saying something to a lot of IPAs. But that's my recommendation. I think there's a store called the Beer Temple in Chicago that does mail order. You can get it there. But
that's cool.
If you're looking for a good treat, it's an excellent beer, and I did the label. So
awesome. No, that's fantastic. All right, a little Cub hype from Jimmy.
Thank right,
you, Jimmy. Yes, indeed. That's beautiful.
Right on, Jimmy.
There we go. So it's like driving and then seeing concurrent billboards when you're on an interstate. Or something. Right. It was beautiful, Jimmy. No, honestly, right. As always, great to see you, and thank you. I'm really, seriously, I'm glad you reached out, and I hope that people watching will contribute and then get excited about this, and and the podcast, the audio version of this will come out tomorrow. So
awesome, that's
absolutely
great.
So yeah, as always, no, thanks, buddy, and take care of yourself.
Yeah, same to you. Good to talk to you.
All right, buddy. Be well. Ryan Browne, everybody. Good to see him. And thank you for watching tonight on Word Balloon Live. It's going to be a very fun week. Kelly Sue DeConnick will be joining us live on Tuesday night. So that should be a lot of fun. And I got a few pre-recorded conversations coming up as well. Things in the can. You might have missed it. I mentioned it earlier. Had a great conversation with Joe Quesada. And that was really great. And that was for the Hero Initiative. And we did that on early Sunday afternoon. That'll be coming out on Tuesday as well. We will have another episode of Stargirl to recap with Jeff Johns, episode 3, Icicle. Look forward to that. That should be great. And we will run that immediately following Stargirl's airing on the CW. So if you watch here on Word Balloon, and just be aware of that, because that will be coming your way late Tuesday night. And other great conversations to usher in June. It's been a great May. I want to thank everyone. Thank you, League of Word Balloon listeners, for your support as always. And thank you for watching once again on Word Balloon Live. This is John Suntress saying be well, take care of yourselves, and good luck as we start the week. As I've been saying, stay safe, stay happy, and stay healthy.